Instead of embracing him, she bit his shoulder, causing him to flee in pain. Once upon a time in Nyanga, there was an orphan named Adoja who lived by herself in a hut after her parents died. She led a quiet life, never causing trouble for anyone. As she matured, her uncles, who had shown little concern since her parents' death, decided she should marry so they could benefit from the dowry. Without telling Adoya, they started looking for a man to marry her. It wasn't a hard task because Adoya was known for her beauty. In the village, men always compared other women to her beauty, setting her as the benchmark. Yet Adoya was unaware of all these happenings. She would dismiss men who approached her and embarrass those who kept trying. Men jokingly said she must be waiting for a king to marry, but Adoya didn't pay attention to their comments. She had few friends and never welcomed anyone into her home. Village women thought she was arrogant, assuming her beauty had made her conceited. The only friend Adoya had was Ephora, her market neighbor, where Adoya sold food. Despite their friendly chats, their conversations were always about market-related things. Time went on, and Adoya's uncle summoned her to discuss her marriage prospects. They expressed their frustration over her not finding a husband and announced they had chosen a suitor for her, who would meet her the next day at her hut. The next morning, Adoya positioned herself outside her hut, ready to meet the suitor. She had a pot of water beside her, planning to douse the man with it as soon as she saw him. As the suitor neared her home, Adoya grabbed the pot, charged at him, and splashed the water all over him. Following this, she picked up a large stick and started chasing him. Upon hearing of this incident, her uncles called her to scold her. Adoya pretended to be sorry, kneeling and assuring them it wouldn't happen again. One uncle said, "It's fine, my daughter. Though you scared away the first man, we have found another for you." The next week, Adoya was again sitting outside, this time with her late father's hunting gun by her side. Spotting the next suitor coming close, she grabbed the gun and fired shots into the air, making the man run away, scared for his life. Her uncles, informed of this event, warned her of consequences if she kept acting this way. However, Adoya remained defiant. With the arrival of the third suitor, Adoya met him away from her hut, faking a welcoming gesture. Instead of embracing him, she bit his shoulder, causing him to flee in pain. Word of Adoya's actions and her clear disinterest in marriage spread throughout the village, which actually pleased her because she felt people might finally understand she had her reasons, which she preferred to keep to herself. However, there was a man named Chidi who was intrigued by Adoya. Despite village gossip, he saw something in her beyond the stories. She appeared peaceful and non-violent to him. Chidi wanted to know her better and decided to befriend her first before proposing marriage. Chidi wondered if Adoya saw the other suitors as strangers. With this thought, he decided to visit her shop to support her business, where he noticed her friendly manner as she sold goods to him. This encouraged him to visit her shop regularly, buying various items each time. One day, while Adoya was having trouble with some math due to a large delivery she had received, Chidi overheard her and quickly offered the correct solutions. Adoya was initially skeptical, but realized he was right after double-checking her figures. Impressed, she complimented Chidi for his quick thinking, showing a rare smile. This was their first personal conversation beyond mere business transactions. Chidi then helped her finish the math, and although Adoya offered him a drink for his help, he politely declined. As time went on, Chidi became a frequent visitor to Adoya's shop, engaging in conversations that went beyond their usual business dealings, and occasionally assisting her with math problems. On one occasion, Chidi arrived to find Adoya ready to leave, but she reopened her shop to serve him. While they were loading items, Adoya noticed a flat tire on her wheelbarrow. Panicking, Adoya said, "What am I going to do?" She then turned to Chidi for help, asking if he could carry some of her belongings. "To your place?" Chidi inquired. Adoya quickly corrected him, saying, "No, just part of the way. I'll show you where." As they moved away from the market, Chidi felt it was the right moment to express his feelings for Adoya. "I really like you, Adoya. I wish you would be my wife," he confessed. Adoya stopped in her tracks, looking at him sharply, and questioned, "Is that the reason you've been visiting my shop so often?" Chidi admitted this was true. Annoyed, Adoya asked him to put down her things and told him not to bother helping her anymore, insisting he should leave. Chidi attempted to reason with Adoya, but she was unyielding. Despite this, he felt he couldn't let her manage the heavy load alone, so he quickly started carrying the items towards her home. Noticing his actions, Adoya ran after him, warning him not to come near her hut and threatening to shoot him if he did. However, Chidi didn't mean to disrespect her boundaries. He only wanted to leave the items near her place to make it easier for her. Once he put down the things, he walked away. Watching him go, Adoya's face briefly softened with a smile, revealing her hidden affection. But she quickly suppressed it, telling herself she couldn't marry him, and then she took her belongings inside. The following day, Chidi visited Adoya's shop again, but she ignored him and told him to go away. Chidi didn't leave the area though. Instead, he went to Ephora's shop claiming he wanted to buy something. Adoya, puzzled, questioned why he would want to shop at Ephora's, noting that she sold women's beads. Ephora, noticing the situation and understanding Chidi's interest in Adoya, defended him, telling Adoya to let her customer be. From then on, Chidi regularly bought beads from Ephora, which Adoya noticed. She started to look forward to his visits, getting upset whenever he was late. It became clear to everyone, including Ephora, who teased Adoya, that she had feelings for Chidi. 2 months later, Ephora shared news with Adoya that she was getting married and would soon leave the village. Adoya felt happy for her friend, but also sad, realizing she would be alone. This thought worried her, leading her to consider her future, particularly about having children. She thought about Chidi in this plan, recognizing he could be part of her life and perhaps fulfill her desire for a family. The following day, Adoya made up her mind to find Chidi and agreed to his marriage proposal. Approaching Chidi, she said, "If you still wish to marry me, I'm ready to say yes." Chidi beamed with joy and nodded, expressing his gratitude for her acceptance. He excused himself to fetch something from his home. Returning, he presented Adoya with the beads he had purchased from Ephora, revealing they were all meant for her. Adoya felt a rush of warmth, her cheeks turning pink at his thoughtful action, yet she had certain terms to lay out. Adoya stated firmly, "We can't live under the same roof, and I won't stay over at your place," leaving Chidi confused and questioning what kind of marital setup this would be. Adoya, with a sense of nervousness, clarified that she would meet her responsibilities as a wife, but insisted her conditions must stay. Chidi, puzzled, tried to understand her stringent terms, but Adoya wouldn't disclose more. Chidi expressed his inability to accept such an arrangement, but reassured her, saying, "Whatever the issue, we can face it together and find a solution." Overwhelmed, Adoja started to cry, fearing a future of solitude. Chidi attempted to comfort her, but she was beyond consolation, and eventually she walked away to her hut. As 2 days elapsed without a sight of Adoja at the market, Chidi grew anxious. Even Ephora had no idea of Adoja's whereabouts. Driven by concern, Chidi approached Adoja's hut, calling out her name loudly. Despite his repeated calls and open windows, there was no sign of Adoja responding. With growing apprehension, he moved closer to her hut, continuously calling her name, wishing she would appear to avoid his intrusion. But silence prevailed, and an unpleasant smell grew stronger as he neared the hut. Nervously, Chidi pushed the door open and found Adoja, looking very ill, lying on her bed. Weakly, Adoja looked at him and pleaded, "Please leave my house." Her voice barely a whisper, tears streaming down her face. Chidi immediately rushed out to fetch the herbalist for Adoja's aid. The odor in the hut was so strong that the herbalist couldn't stay inside for long, yet Chidi wasn't deterred. He took the medicine from the herbalist, who waited outside, and went in to care for Adoja himself. After the herbalist left, Chidi remained, persistently trying to make Adoja rest in bed. Despite her resistance, she finally gave in to exhaustion and slept. While Adoja slept, Chidi busied himself with preparing food, washing her clothes and tidying the hut. During his cleaning, he discovered a large wet spot on the bed where Adoja had been lying. He was surprised as it hadn't been there before. Closer inspection led him to realize that Adoja had wet the bed. Shocked at first, Chidi understood the situation. The persistent urine smell was because Adoja suffered from bedwetting. Upon waking, Adoja felt deep shame over her exposed secret. "Please don't feel bad about it," Chidi comforted her. "How can I not?" Adoja lamented. "I'm an adult who wets the bed." Chidi offered comfort, advising her not to be distressed. He learned that Adoja's bedwetting was due to a bladder issue, a lifelong condition that made her believe no man would ever accept her. However, Chidi was different. He wanted to marry her regardless. Facing him, Adoja confessed, "This happens to me every night." Chidi replied reassuringly, "We will manage this together every day." However, Chidi didn't come the next morning as Adoja had expected, which made her fear he had left her because of her condition. Anxious and upset, she went into the village searching for him. She noticed some girls staring at her, making her think Chidi had revealed her secret. Overwhelmed and defensive, she exclaimed to the onlookers, "So what if I wet the bed? It's not my fault. Judge me if you want." "Chidi!" Adoja shouted as she saw him coming toward her home. He had planned to come by early, but ended up discussing with builders about constructing a better, well-ventilated house for them to live in as a married couple. Realizing her mistake, that the girls were actually not talking about her secret, Adoja dashed back to her place, with Chidi right behind her. Now she was worried. Everyone in the village will find out, she feared. Chidi comforted her, promising, "No matter what happens, we'll face it together, Adoja." Looking into his eyes, Adoja could tell he was sincere. She regretted doubting him earlier and felt guilty for not trusting his promise to return, especially after learning he spent the morning planning for their future home. Eventually, Chidi and Adoja got married and enjoyed a happy life together. Chidi supported Adoja, helping to manage her condition and working with her to keep their home clean and welcoming for visitors. What the villagers thought didn't bother them. They were content and became the village's most joyful pair. Adoya even made new friends who accepted her as she was. I want to talk about the importance of having true friends. Everyone should hope to have friendships that can withstand life's challenges. According to the Bible, in Proverbs 18:24, it says that some friends can turn on each other, but a real friend is more loyal than a brother. This passage highlights how valuable a true friend can be, often even more so than family. It's a reminder of the loyalty and trust you can find in such a friendship. My hope is for all of us to find and cherish these kinds of deep, supportive relationships in our lives. If you enjoyed this story and found it meaningful, please don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. Your support helps us bring more such stories to you. Thank you for watching.